Hi everyone. Today I'll be presenting you a piece and some of my thoughts that I have worked on. It's called "The World Has Changed, but I Have Changed." It's a hard to progress through my life from the past and currently. The world has become more polarizing. What I mean to say is why it is polarizing is because there are too many times where many people are addicted to bigotry, including hate against people who are different, especially people with disabilities like me. Working conditions have become much harder in society. Social media platforms have even caused more damage than good. People spend time using religion as a way to hate other people or uses Jesus' name for the wrong message, and many others. These things have caused our society to be in a new normal era where it is confusing. It's hard to understand different feelings. It is hard to communicate our thoughts, including our feelings, our concerns, because many people judge us the wrong way. I will tell you how I've changed due to the world changing in a different direction or in the wrong direction. I want to give you a short introduction to many of you. My name is Matt Winnick. I'm in my upper 30s and I struggle with autism, including a learning disability, along with a kind of disability, ever since I was born through currently. I have struggled with this almost every year, every month, and every day. I have dealt many hardships with my disability. I get easily shamed by people for simply struggling with a disability, or if I'm different from other people, or if I can't meet their standards. As an autistic person in my mind, I try to be a vision for the good, for wanting a world to be a better place for people in general, especially people with disabilities or people who struggle in poverty or other needs that they can't have. In myself, I feel broken almost on a daily basis and every yearly basis, and currently. I dealt with a lot of hate from people, especially some of my friends, just because I have a disability. They sometimes blame people with disabilities like me for supposedly causing problems in society, even though if it isn't my fault or people with disabilities in general. I deal with getting spit at on occasionally by people. Having many people in different social groups, including people from different backgrounds, say a lot of harsh and gross things to make me feel ashamed, along with feeling hurt. There are many instances where they call me retard or slowpoke. They also have made inappropriate references where they would criticize me as a male with a disability of not being a man enough by both men, including women. I have been shamed by the Asian American community where they tell me that I don't look Asian just because I'm a mixed race, or I have a disability, or that just because I can't have a higher education like them, and they believe that I don't belong. Other people who come from different cultures like to use culture as a way to even put me down or tell me that their own culture doesn't like people with disabilities like me, and I get shamed by many of them. Inside of myself, I am broken. To be honest, it is hard for me to get up on a daily basis to try to tell myself it's a new day and you can make progress. Sometimes I cry in my bed before I sleep, or sometimes early in the morning. But I have to wipe off tears off my face and get outside and start a new day. Social media platforms like Facebook or on Instagram have always been a challenge for me ever since in the past, including currently. It has caused a huge amount of polarization, including division in society. My experience with using these platforms have been hard and have not been easy because I deal with the same thing of being hated for being different from other people, or especially if I struggle with my disability or if I have different ways of being creative from other people. I have experience of getting hateful messages through these platforms where people say hateful words or make inappropriate comments about how they don't like people with disabilities, or how they tell me that I'm not really a human being just because I have different creativity or if I struggle with my disability. When I look at these platforms, I see how many people are connected with me, but I feel out of sync. The reason why I feel out of sync is there are too many times people on these platforms are so called friends. They don't want to take the time to appreciate me for trying to be a human being with creativity, along with critical thinking skills, or if I'm simply just trying to show people some of my interests, like traveling or having good ideas for the good to make the world a better place, or simply just trying to have fun. I have also experienced many forms of being cyberbullied on these platforms, and especially where people have manipulated a picture of me into something that is not appropriate, where it spreads through online or sometimes through other people. It has changed me even further. I become more saddened when other people who have connected with on social media platforms don't really want to appreciate me, or simply just not willing to respond to my kind messages when I reach out or if I need someone to talk to. As being a victim of being bullied for a very long time by people, some of my friends, and people from different backgrounds, it has broken me even further. There are times I look through my iPhone to the photos that I had previously with friends. Sometimes I cry because I feel bad about why can't the friendship not work? Why was it broken? Why it didn't work? Why are people mean at me when I try my best to be a good friend to them, or even if I struggle just because I couldn't meet their standards? I cry when I look through the photos on my iPhone when I realize that it is so painful on how a friendship didn't work or that it got messy. Sometimes I want to travel back into time to try to see if I could fix things, if I could improve myself to be a better friend to people, even if I was totally different. But I realize I can't really travel back in time like a superhero or like a person from H.G. Wells' Time Machine book. All I can basically just do is work hard with creativity, including critical thinking skills, trying to follow the basic principles that I've learned through my entire life, including when I was young by a speech therapist named Pam, about the importance of being a good friend, like having compassion for other people when they struggle in life, using critical thinking skills to understand different situations or to learn, having empathy for people, and trying my best to be a good listener, even if I can't understand other people or if I struggle to figure out how to communicate my thoughts efficiently. Unfortunately, sometimes working on these good principles doesn't work all the time, and people even put me down even further. I sometimes question myself, why do people who want to be good friends or want to have good intentions are being shamed while other people who are addicted to mean things are more popular? But in my mind, all I can just do is that it's important for me to try to be a good friend, but also be a good human being with good principles. I have tried to do social groups, using meetups, going to different clubs, even trying to make new friends. But things didn't work as I hoped. I continued to even get bullied further and teased, even being spit at, dealing with people who are poor or highly educated telling me mean things, like they don't like people with disabilities. It breaks my heart even further. I have lost interest in people where this makes me become more friendliness. Like I really don't have friends in life, or I can't even manage to hold on to them. I spend a lot of time asking myself, what should I do better? Should I even change myself to meet other people's standards? How should I not feel ashamed for not having enough friends, or even feeling guilty just because I'm different? I spend time visualizing to myself on a daily basis, or at night, or in the afternoon. I have to tell myself that I have to not give up on being compassionate for people who struggle or when they make achievements. Being helpful to others as best as I can, even if I can't do everything like other people can do, or if my struggles with my disability makes my life harder. I have made some choices in my life. I decided to try to go to an autism support group to understand myself and to understand other people who struggle with a disability. And also, I've been doing for about 6 to 7 years of volunteering with a small community group to help provide grocery bags filled with canned goods to the homeless, including people who are poor or disadvantaged or who are disabled, as a way for me to continue my kindness, compassion, critical thinking, and understanding. I do this volunteering to help me cope when I can't really have friends or do well in social groups or when people get mean at me. I have dealt the hardships of identity politics being used in a negative way. What I'm trying to say of identity politics is where people can easily criticize you for being different, or if your gender is different, or if you're struggling in society, or if you are a mixed race in navigating a society that is broken. I am a man with a disability. It is hard challenge of being it because I don't have a higher education like others. I struggle with trying to be in good shape like other men who exercise. I'm not very well good in finances or my interests don't align me with other men. What I mean to say is my interests don't align with other men is I can't understand sports topics. I'm not into drinking beer. I work at a food service job where I don't make enough money. And also, I have to live with my parents because I struggle with my disability even further. I am not a wealthy person in life. I can't do well in social situations or groups like other men can do, and I don't look attractive like them. It is hard when I deal with this because both men and women have been very critical of questioning my gender. They ask me, "Are you really a man just because you struggle with a disability?" And say phrases like, "You're not really a man if you can't look attractive, or you can't make enough money to support a woman or other people in general. You are a lazy person because you can't do well in getting a higher education, or that you simply can't do well in social groups." It is heartbreaking to deal with people questioning my gender just because I'm a man that struggles with a disability. I don't really have time to try to communicate with people in general to explain what it means to be a man with a disability. Because too many times people reject listening to me. They don't want to listen to somebody trying to explain in the most honest way. But here is the best that I can say of what it means to be a man with a disability. Being a man with a disability is someone that wants to try to have compassion for people, including women, working on being creative with critical thinking skills, to understand different situations, or to learn better. And just because I don't have a high education, but I have some ways of trying to learn myself through different resources like watching YouTube, reading short books, watching documentaries or short news topics. Having the audacity to have emotions like feeling sad or want to express concerns or compassion. It's okay because everybody has emotions and they shouldn't feel ashamed. And being a man with a disability means you have to make hard choices in life. For example, for me, I have to always be vigilant to make sure that I'm not socially awkward when talking to other girls, to avoid being bullied even further. I have to work hard on trying to find ways to understand my own body to try to learn better about my health because there are times I struggle with health issues due to my autism spectrum, along with challenges of my bad genetics, like struggling with stomach issues, high cholesterol, and other things. When I struggle with these health issues, I try to work on being creative at eating healthy while balancing sweet, making recipes that don't have eggs or dairy, reading healthy lifestyle articles or videos, and doing research about managing my health. Most of the time, I spend time as a man with a disability by myself because it is hard for me to feel accepted into society. I get up and try to continue to be creative on what I can do. Identity politics isn't just only about gender issue that I struggle with the most. It is when other people who come from different cultures, especially the Asian American community, they like to use culture in a negative way to make me feel bad just because I struggle with a disability or I can't meet their standards or they use the culture as a way to hate others, especially people with disabilities like me. I have dealt many difficult times of the Asian American community and other groups relate to make me feel bad just because I have a disability. They use hateful words to me or do other forms of harassment like spitting. It breaks my heart all the time. I have to hide my identity a lot when people ask me, "What is your ethnicity?" All I can just say is I'm a mixed race, and that's it. I hide my identity all the time. I have to be very cautious of how I present myself without being a target by other people. Having to keep my head down so other people won't look at me and do mean things. I continue along. I'm just trying to understand myself as a mixed race, but also as a man with a disability in a society where it is broken. I have lost interest in women, including girls, even though my sexual orientation is I am straight and I have an interest in girls. However, I have lost the interest of connecting or even being friends with them in general. I have experienced so many times where some women, including some girls, would say to me, "What's your number?" Or "Do you have a social media account? Because I like to connect with you or to hang out with you sometime." In my mind, I say, okay, this seems like a good idea for a way to connect. On the other hand, there are times that it doesn't work that well. I get ghosted, or even sometimes during the hangout with them, they will bring some of their friends with them to bully me and tease me even further, or make fun of me, or even use social media platforms as a way to spread bad rumors about me. And also deal with sometimes being spit at. I've had many bad experiences with women. I had the harsh experiences where women, including girls, would question my gender just because I can't meet their expectations or I struggle with my disability. Sometimes in a workplace, there are some women would tell me that I am not perfect just because I can't do tasks so well or efficiently, or make statements like, "I am better than you," or that or make statements like that you are just another lazy person just because you're a man with a disability, or expressing that men with disabilities are stupid or creeps. I have seen a lot of these things on TikTok and YouTube. It breaks my heart when women, including girls, do this, and when they like to be mean at me just because I struggle with my disability or that I might not be perfect like how they want me to be. Also, it is hard to communicate my good intentions to women or girls because I get put down. My intentions are that I want to be a good listener to them. Be kind, including being compassionate for them when they struggle in life or make achievements. My standard for them is I want them to be compassionate, kind, understanding, have emotional intelligence, and using critical thinking skills with creativity. Unfortunately, there is no real right solution on navigating this struggle and challenge. I've been going on a pause for a long time of connecting with women, including girls. I try to go on my own path where I try to educate myself about women's issues or women's rights that they face. I try taking free courses about how to navigate the Me Too era or how to prevent harassment in society, especially in a workplace. I've devoted myself into volunteering to help the poor, including women that struggle with getting food, and I spend time learning about famous, influential women that work hard to make a great difference for society. I do this as a way to better improve myself, understand women better, and how to be a better ally for them. I have worked in the food service industry for about 12 years and currently. It's been a hard and challenging and difficult for me as a person with a disability. It's a fast paced environment. There are times where you don't know how to understand situations, or it's hard for me to react. Navigating staffing issues like short staffing or if other coworkers don't want to help. And it is hard for me to try to communicate my thoughts with other coworkers about trying to get stuff done. I realized as I worked in my 12 years, I become more disabled in some ways. I have trouble concentrating. I'm trying to be creative at being efficient in a fast paced environment. It takes me longer to get tasks done or to even multitask. Sometimes it is hard for me to communicate or asking for help when I struggle. When I have these challenges in these work environment, there are times where some other coworkers or sometimes management makes fun of me and they put me down. Sometimes I get called mean names like retard, slowpoke, and other mean words. It is hard when I deal with these things. I have to hold my tears inside. I have to swallow a bunch of water, especially cucumber water, to help me calm my nerves. But for me to try to stay healthy as much as I can, I spend time on my 30-minute lunch break eating small meals, taking a glass of water, and in my mind, I ask myself, how am I going to make it through these days? How will I do okay? What should I do if I don't know how to communicate my thoughts or concerns? The questions keep going up in my mind as a worker in the industry. I'm trying to focus on paying attention to details, like making sure the dishes come out clean from the dish machine, or making sure that we have enough silverware ready to go. Whenever it is slow, I try to work on taking the time to do tasks efficiently. I work on trying to be respectful to other coworkers and even trying to make sure that I can help them as much as I can. Also try to observe other coworkers and how they work to try to give me a sense of an idea of how I can do these tasks efficiently. But again, my disability in the workplace is hard and, and difficult. There are times I'm worried that our country and society will never get better for people with disabilities in the workplace, or that there are too many public officials from both political parties or too many members of our judicial system doesn't want to address helping people with disabilities in the workplace or even addressing better improvements for the rights of the disabled. All I can simply just do is go to work, keep my head down, try to follow the basic principles of myself as a worker with a disability, and use critical thinking skills to an advantage to survive in these economic times that have been challenging too, where it is easy for places to be short staffed. Sometimes it is easy to be blamed when it is not your fault that something doesn't go too well. And all I can just simply just do again is try the best as I can to be smart on how to spend money while saving money too, expanding on critical thinking skills to survive in the food service industry. That is hard. I am a visionary all the time. The reason why I'm a visionary is because I always loved studying history, including social justice and some philosophy. These things have helped motivate me when I struggle with my disability or when I lose faith in myself due to society being broken, including when people are mean at me. I love studying many historical figures and learning many different historical events as a way to teach me about the world, to help me understand the importance of making society better, like improvements on civil rights, including the rights of the disabled, protecting our environment from pollution, expanding on social justice to improve communities, having the need to make sure healthcare services are better to help people who can't afford healthcare or when they struggle with pre-existing conditions, or if they are disabled, get the care that they need. I try to be a visionary like John F. Kennedy, W.E.B. Du Bois, Mr. Fred Rogers, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., Charles Dickens, Helen Keller, Maya Lin, Abraham Lincoln, Marie Curie, Bernie Sanders, Joan of Arc, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Florence Nightingale, and many others. The reason why I picked these people or other historical figures is because we all share something in common. We all have struggles in our life. We dealt with the prejudice, including hate for being different, or even trying to advocate for good policies, like the expansion of human rights, including the rights of the disabled, improving social justice to help improve the communities, or other things. Sometimes I feel like I wish I could be friends with many of these historical figures because we both share a common goal and that I am different from other people in general. My vision and my philosophy, my thoughts for what I really want for a world to be a better place is to have expansion on human rights, especially on the rights of the disabled, to reduce discrimination, including oppression. Better environmental protection to reduce pollution, expansion of universal healthcare system, to help many people who struggle with healthcare or who can't afford it get the care they need. Have an adequate criminal justice reform to help protect individual civil liberties while reducing crime, including reducing wrongful convictions. Improve social justice to make our communities stronger and to heal them, and many others. Also, I believe the need for diversity, equal rights, and recognizing different cultures. However, I believe that culture and diversity shouldn't be used as a way to promote hateful policies against people, especially people with disabilities. These ideas shouldn't be a partisan issue. It's a human right issue and it's a historical issue that we need to think about, and it's a society issue from my experience of my challenges with my disability and navigating society. I believe these ideas are important that we need. It breaks my heart when I deal with many of my friends, adults, and people who are highly educated would tell me that I'm simply just a retard or stupid person for wanting to follow these good ideas or having a vision of these. It makes me sad watching to see how many politicians, including members of our judicial systems, and including members of the news media, really like to have hateful rhetoric against the disabled or try to persuade people to be against many of these common sense ideas that I previously mentioned. All I can simply just do is continue on trying to learn history, be creative at learning social justice, and continue to hold onto my principles, including my philosophy of my thoughts of wanting a world to be a better place, and that it will make me a better human being. Religion is something that's been tricky for me all the time, including currently. I have been a proud Christian my whole entire life. However, I do have mixed feelings about it. In my whole entire life, including currently, I have dealt with the harsh of being teased by other Christians, people in general, and people who are heavily religious who like to use Jesus' name for hateful, including bigotry things, especially on people with disabilities. I have faced enormous amount of hate from other people who are religious, where they tell me that Jesus doesn't like people with disabilities like me. I feel sadness and hurt. When I was a kid, I have always remembered what my previously minister had told me, that Jesus loves people who are different, especially people with disabilities, or people who are poor or disadvantaged, and people who struggle with getting health care. He wants them to do okay, and that Jesus is a strong supporter of social justice causes, and he wants a world to be a better place. I tend to feel more closely aligned with Jesus Christ myself. Well, what I meant to say is I feel like Jesus is a friend to me. He doesn't judge me, and he listens to my thoughts, my concerns, my feelings, and I can hear him talking back to me. Whenever I pray to Jesus, I've always tried my best to explain what type of person I am in an honest way. For example, I tell him to be honest. I'm a person who struggles with an autism spectrum. And yes, sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm not a perfect in society because I struggle with challenges of trying to understand people, how to do tasks efficiently in a workplace that is fast paced, how to better navigate society when people like to use bigotry, including hate. But I'm a person that wants to do good. I'm a person that wants to be compassionate for the people who are struggling in life or, or who are simply poor or disadvantaged or who are disabled. I'm a person that tries to work on critical thinking skills, expand on finding ways to learn different topics if I can't do well with comprehension. I try my best to be a volunteer to help the poor when they can't get help from others. Also, my prayers, I tell Jesus all the time that I'm a person that doesn't have many friends. I don't even have friends or people that could be appreciative, including understanding of me as a human being who wants to do good things, work hard to improve myself, and have a good critical thinking skills, even if I struggle with my disability or if I'm different in society. Also, in my prayers, I try my best to think of others. I try to pray for a world to have a better healthcare system for people who can't afford healthcare services due to the healthcare system being expensive or it is broken. Protecting our environment from pollution, making sure that we have a better expansion of human rights, including the rights of the disabled, to reduce discrimination or oppression, and adequate criminal justice reform to help protect individual civil liberties while reduce crime, including reduce wrongful convictions, have affordable housing to help people get housing that they need, and many others. I never talk about being a Christian in public places too much because sometimes other people criticize me, but they tell me that I am not a perfect Christian just because I struggle with my disability, or that I am more of a person that believes in the good principles of Jesus Christ when other people don't want to think of it that way. I tell myself that I'm a man who is a Christian but with a disability, but who wants to follow on a good path of what Jesus Christ wants me to be. Every year is never easy, or even when people talk about the New Year's resolution or starting the new year, people ask me, what do you hope for the new year? Why do you feel down when the new year is about to start? I keep myself quiet and bay. I try to process every answer I could think of, but I can't, or it's just simply too hard for me to communicate my thoughts that well. All I can simply just do is try to tell myself that I hope that every year there could be good things for me, even if I struggle with my disability, or even if I try my hardest to work hard to be a human being with good principles. Even if people reject me, or even if they make fun of me, or if they put me down. Also, I have learned from every year that there are challenges and that I have to do the best as I can to process it as best as I can. I have to continue to make changes in my life. I have to sometimes give up the hope that I have in order to survive a very difficult, polarizing environment that I'm in society. I have to tell myself that if friendships or friends don't work, or if I can't do well with them, all I can just do is focus on trying to be a human being with good principles that wants to do good things or even work hard for the right reasons. Even if people make fun of me for struggling with a disability or getting spit at or dealing with bigotry, all I can just tell myself is that being a person with a disability isn't a bad person. It makes me unique with different skills or different mindset than others. If I have to work in the food service industry where it is rough or filled with people who are mean, all I can simply just do is remind myself is that I am working hard at being creative with critical thinking skills to understand tasks. When people put me down for simply just wanting to follow Jesus Christ's good philosophies, I tell myself that being a good Christian means following Jesus Christ's good philosophies on social justice, practicing his philosophy of compassion, critical thinking skills, and even helping others when people are struggling. Social media is the hardest thing and it's never easy to solve. I have to be very, very careful while being vigilant on how I use social media platforms to make sure I am protected myself from being bullied or even a bad rumor causing issues, while at the same time finding a good balance of when to use social media, when not to use it, and starting to transition of being reached through a phone, text, or email, or WhatsApp as a form of communication. I've been distant from a lot of people because I'm not sure how to feel, how to understand my emotions better, how to avoid feeling guilty when people make me feel bad for simply struggling with a disability or other forms of meanness. I want to find ways where I can make achievements that I can feel good about them, or even if I can make some small progress that I can do as a way to help me prepare myself in society. I keep telling myself that I believe in diversity, I believe in equal rights, and I believe that it's important for culture to be part of society. However, it is not easy. When all different groups of people who come continue to use hateful rhetoric and even other forms of meanness, including me being spit at. I have to tell myself the best thing that I can do is continue to have a philosophy of believing in equal rights, culture, and diversity because I believe a world needs to be a better place. We don't need to use bigotry or hate, especially on people with disabilities like me. And that diversity is very important to help make a world a better place where we can recognize people who have different skills or who come from different backgrounds. I know a lot of people get extremely judgmental and harsh at me and assume that I'm a bad person or a person with a disability is bad just because I've struggled with friendships or even struggling in life or even if I can't do well in social situations. Also, it is hard to explain to people about my thoughts, my feelings, my concerns, or even some other progress that I am trying to work on because I get shut down by other people or I don't get appreciated for doing the best as I can. I have to distance myself from other people to focus on myself, to find ways to better understand myself in a society that is broken and how to navigate the world that is filled with bigotry and hate. When I distance myself from other people, I don't like to compare myself to other people or just say I want to be better than them. I want to say to myself that I want to be the best version of who I am. How do I improve myself when I struggle at doing tasks in a workplace or in volunteering or in society? What should I do to make sure that I continue to have the importance of compassion, kindness, critical thinking skills, and working on expanding on my goals of simply of just wanting to be a human being with good principles? What resources are a good way to help me learn better about the issues that we face? How should I identify my strengths and my weaknesses? What do I have to offer to the people who I care about or to society? Trying to understand why the world is broken or why people like to use anti disability stigma against me or use meanness at me. How will I be able to process the trauma of being bullied for a long time? How should I be a good role model for the people in the disabled community or for people in general? What kind of temporary goals do I want to complete? These questions keep popping up all the time, and it's not easy to answer one of them, but I do the best as I can to think of the answers or temporary solutions for them. I also try to focus on doing temporary goals, like, for example, completing a certain mission in Red Dead Redemption 2, learning different recipes on cooking, reading books about herbal medicines or history or other topics that I find interesting, watching my favorite movies and TV shows, improving on exercising to improve my health, being committed to a goal of volunteering on a weekly basis to assist the homeless people, and many others. Also, when I'm distant from others, I spend time I'm trying to figure out how to be creative on learning or how to find myself by focusing on doing hobbies like writing letters, doing writing pieces, spending time with my historical figures that I collect, or even trying to make skits of them or doing other things. YouTube and TikTok has never been easy. It's always hard trying to get many views to watch my videos. I'm playing video games, making skits of my historical figures, and me explaining my thoughts, my feelings, or even my vision of wanting a world to be a better place. I spend so many hours trying to work hard on trying to make a good video because I'm worried that I would bore people and that I wouldn't be interesting to listen to or to understand. I try my best to follow the algorithm on these platforms to try to understand when to post and not to post, but it's hard. Also, I spend time trying to practice my writing scripts for me to speech to make sure I get my thoughts organized, but it becomes much harder. Sometimes it makes me sad when I see many influencers who are on these platforms or in general, where they like to use anti disability stigma or to promote hate against people with disabilities, or encourages other people to listen to them, and it gets many views than non controversial things. Also, almost on my birthday, all the time, which is December 3rd, I always wish for a world to be a better place for me and for people I know, or in general, or to be appreciative of me for trying to be a human being with good principles, or to be understanding of me for working hard despite challenges with my disability, or if I fail to meet other people's standards, or if I can't even hold on to friends. Also, my birthday wish is I've always wished that I could meet many influential people that inspire me when I struggle in life because they inspire me to try to be creative, work on my disability, and to learn things. It sounds silly saying these things for a birthday wish, but to be honest, I want something good in life because too many times I deal with the hardships in life where I don't feel that I am appreciated when I try my best in society. I get put down easily or being spit at or being told by many people, especially some of my friends or highly educated people, tell me that I'm a retard in society. In conclusion, I am still thinking of thoughts of what type of person I am all the time, whether it's day or night, or every week, or every year, or even before I go to bed. How do I understand myself with a disability in society that is broken when people like to use hateful rhetoric? How do I even survive in a world where people want to weaken the rights of the disabled? What are ways to overcome the burden of dealing with hate? How will I be able to do well in society without friends or people that can appreciate me or understand me? All I can do is focus on trying to be a human being with good principles that I've learned in life, using critical thinking skills as much as possible, and helping others when they're having hard times, trying to be mindful of other people, and work on strategies to further educate myself on topics. That's all I can say. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my piece that I wrote. It took me a long time to work on it because I was struggling to figure out how to get my thoughts organized, trying to write a script. And I really hope that people can like this piece that I spoke and take the time to listen to it and understand that as a person with a disability myself, I really want to see a world to be a better place, a place without bigotry and hate. And I encourage people who are very religious to use religion for good, to help others, be kind, compassionate, and help people with disabilities, and not to use religion as hate. I encourage many people that come from different cultures, especially the Asian American community, to not use the culture as a way to hate others or to bully people with disabilities. And I want them to be respectful to people with disabilities and be kinder and compassionate. And I hope that many of you um, like the speech. Let me know what you think of it. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my speech. I did the best as I could. And so, thank you.